All right, so once we've understood how to use my uh, tool palette, and notice right here how I'm dragging and enlarging and lengthening my timeline. If I drag it to the right, notice how it gets smaller. If I drag it to the left, it's going to zoom in and get larger, where depending on where my indicator is placed at that moment. But you have a couple of other tools you can use when you're inserting clips. When you have clips on the timeline, you have the slip tool, right? You have the slip tool, which is a really important one that uh, users use right here. So it's Y, and that's U for the slip and the slide tool. Um, so the slip is the first one with the letter Y with the two arrows going right and left. Changes the in and out points of the selected clip while retaining the adjacent clip's edit points. So what does that mean? So if I select the uh, slip tool, and let me go to, well, I'll go to this clip right here where I'm hovering my mouse over. Notice if it's red, I can't do anything. But dragging the middle clip to the left or right. Now this first clip is A, the middle clip is B, and the clip to the right is C. If I click it and I drag it to the right, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Um, it would lengthen the selected clips, right? It would change the in and out points of those selected clips, but I took kind of the whole thing. Um, but A and C is not going to move. So let's try that with another clip, see if it works better, depending on what I have here. There it is. It works better for this one. So this clip I have space because I took the entire clip of the previous two. So I'm going to click it. I'm going to drag it to the right. It's changing the in point and the out point, where the clip begins and ends. So the clip, the guy in the green tank top, the left of it is where it starts. It's changing the start point. The right of it is where he's balancing, is where it's going to end. It's changing those points without changing the length of the clip on the timeline. Notice my timeline is going to stay the same amount of time that I want it to. So it's going to keep those adjacent edit points of A and C, the clips before and after it. So when I let go, it changed the in and out points of this clip, but it kept the same length for the two clips after it. So the slip tool is a really important tool that you want to use when you're doing this. Then you have the slide tool, the letter U, and that's underneath it here. It's like a square with two arrows next to it. Um, it keeps the duration of your clip you're sliding the same. The duration of the clip stays the same. It just shortens A and C, for example. So this is A, where I'm hovering my mouse. This is C, where I'm hovering my mouse. And then in the middle is B. So if I use the slide, I selected U, I click this, and I drag it to the right or the left. So I'm going to drag it to the left. Notice it's shortening the first clip, letter A, and you can see it above where it's shortening it. It's on top of it. B is going to stay the same, but C is going to get longer. You could see C stretching out. So I'm going to let go, and this clip shortened. The middle clip stayed the same, and the last clip lengthened. So really good tools when you're on the timeline is the slip and the slide tool, especially when you're trying to do multiple things at the same time. Now, of course, your, you know, Avid and Final Cut tools are in Premiere Pro. So I have a clip in my source here that I've in and out on. I made an I and an O. That still works. Over here, I'm going to put my indicator at the end here. And I have the insert button, or the comma. That's going to bring a clip down. I select another one and make an in point and an out point. You also have the override button. So just like how and the shortcut for that is period. So say if I were to make an in point and an out point there, and I want to make an in point here on my timeline, and I hit the override button, notice it's going to be the length of where I made the in point and out point, and it's going to start where I made the in point on the timeline. So let's hit the override button, or you can press period, and notice that small little piece that I took, it made the overwrite on my timeline. Say if I want to delete that, I'm not a fan of what I just did. I'm going to make an I and an O on my timeline. That is selected. And I want to lift or extract that out. that's where I go to the right side, the other screen, and lift or use semicolon. If I lift it out, it's going to leave a black space. So say if I'm sure of what I want to put there, I just want to leave it black. Let me hit Command Z, or I extract it, which is apostrophe, and it pushes everything back for me, not leaving a gap. Now, of course, in Premiere Pro, slipping, sliding, inserting, override, all those buttons from Avid are the same, but their trim mode is a little bit different from Avid's. How do we get into trim mode? All you gotta do is double click between two clips. So if I'm gonna be back in my select tool here, and I'm gonna just double click between two clips, I enter trim mode, and I go to my program monitor here, and if you see a 0 on each side, so we haven't made any changes yet. If I'm looking at my program here, -5 is gonna push the second clip back 5 frames and making the end of this clip shorter by 5 frames. If I do -1, and notice there is shortcuts for these two, but it's just easier to press the buttons in my opinion. Like option left is to go backwards -1 frame. The middle part, I can just put an effect, a fade between both of those clips. So it's a simple way to do an effect if you want to. If I want to go forward 1 frame, this clip that I'm hovering my mouse over will lengthen by a frame. This will shorten by a frame. And if I want to go plus, Option Shift Right, for example, is the shortcut. The first clip will lengthen by 5 frames, while this is shortened. The second one will shorten by 5 frames. Let's hit the +5. And we went forward 5 frames. You can do it again if you want to. We can -1 frame. See how it took it out. Let's +1 frame, bring it back. Let's put a dissolve there. So that's it, and you can see the effect is already on there. And you can leave trim mode just by clicking out of it, or you can hit escape and it will, just all you gotta do is move the inspector and you're pretty much out of trim mode. So I put that effect there, and there it is. So let's double click over here, and let's add 5 frames to the previous clip, or let's -1 frame. Let's bring it back, let's add a frame to it. So that's it. And let's move the indicator, and I'm out of trim mode. Very simple to do, and a really important tool that you'll use in Premiere Pro.